Hello everyone, we are the Mechanical Mages. I'm Sid.
I'm Krish.
I'm Chris Shiv.
And yeah, we're here to talk to you about our journey to Worlds. Yeah. So without further ado,
Let's get started.
Here's the robot.
This is our center stage 23-24 season.
Yep. That's our state's robot, but it's okay. So table of contents. We'll be talking about pretty basic. It's just our journey to Worlds, how we advanced, what we're proud of, what we learned, and new season resolutions. So what we're gonna do next year, and you can take anything you learn from us and apply it to your team as well. So yeah, how we advanced. Go ahead. Do you want to talk about how we advanced or like?
In previous years we went with the more general route, which is just to compete in like regular quals and go to states and then see where you go from there.
Yeah, state qualifiers, right? Or it'd just be one competition.
Yeah.
Nothing before that.
Yeah, you just spend like the first 5 months building a robot and then states.
Yeah.
Instead, this year we decided we needed some more rigor for our building.
Mm-hmm.
We went with leagues.
Mm-hmm.
It got us in shape for the kind of building and problem solving that we need for like on the spot problem solving we need for even quals, honestly, but mostly states and worlds.
Yeah. By the time we got to state qualifiers, our robot was definitely more rigid and more complete. But it wasn't at like the level of complexity or ability that we'd see like the state robots that come out of the league meets come from, right?
Yeah.
So I think that was like a main reason why we chose to go to the leagues, right?
Yeah, and
so that we could like start building more intricate, more complicated, just more overall robust robots.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and we get like direct exposure from other teams early on into the season, which helped us make a better robot.
Yeah, another reason, because at the league meets, usually that's where you find the best teams in your state. It's just a better place to get consistent iteration on your robot and see what the other best teams are doing. So yeah, that was what we did. Our league meets, it's league meet 0 through 3. You have 10. I think 0 doesn't count, but through 1 through 3, you are trying to get 10 wins or 10 of your best matches, and those go on your record, which I think they create some type of ranking for qualifiers, right? Do you want to go in depth with that?
I think the ranking system, like it extends all the way into state as well.
I think so, yeah.
Like they basically take your performance for the first 3 league meets, quals, and quals, and then they use that to determine your initial ranking in state, which can obviously be changed by your matches in state.
Mm-hmm.
So it is important, as much as qualifiers and states seem to matter more. It is important to also try to do well in your leagues.
Yeah, because we were ranked pretty high because we had 10 wins from our leagues, right? So they take your 10 best matches, and depending on how many win, you get like higher rankings, right?
I think so.
So
Yeah.
we had exactly 10 wins, right? And out of maybe a little more, but we had exactly 10 wins, and they were pretty high level wins. So we had a pretty high rank. Do you remember like what we started at?
We started pretty low, but then we as leagues went on, we like got them up pretty quickly.
Yeah, but like regardless of your rank at states, you can still win. So
I mean, our performance at states was
pretty top notch.
It was up there.
Yeah.
We stayed first the entire. I don't want to brag.
Was it the entire time? No, we were third. I swear we were third for a time.
I mean, for the most part, right?
Yeah.
For almost the whole thing, we were
first for almost the most part.
Yeah. It's pretty good states experience. Yeah. So yeah, I went league meet 0 through 3, league meet quals, states, and then worlds. And I think states quals we ended up semi-finalists, but we didn't win. And then states we were winning alliance captains. So really, like anything goes between that, and you get so much time for iteration and stuff. So it's really useful. Okay. Achievements. One of you want to start this?
Bishop, how about you take it?
Yeah. So at qualifiers, we won our 3rd Inspire and Connect award there, and then in the states, we won winning alliance captain and think award 2nd place.
Yep. And then we qualified to Worlds, our first Worlds. So yeah, what we learned. I think one of the biggest things we all agreed upon, right, is that reliability was a big thing no matter what level you're at.
Yeah.
Because like I remember from our league meets, we'd have a lot of like issues with our box breaking down, or like our deposition system like working halfway. So reliability is a big point, but even outside of just the teleop, during autonomous especially, like the teams that always had the reliable autos, if not always the sophisticated autos, usually won. Because the sophisticated autos, they're more prone to breaking down, right?
Yeah.
Like I remember, Tobertech, they had a pretty sophisticated auto, and it was pretty good. But
I think they
that's
they
issues
forgot
at the start, right?
yeah, they had some things that they didn't account for, I think.
Yeah. So reliability, it's gonna get you far.
I also remember throughout the season, I just hear coaches voices echo like, finish what you started first before you start branching off to new stuff. Get whatever you're working on reliable first.
Yeah.
I just remember that.
No, definitely. Even at Worlds, like sometimes you could be ranked relatively high, even if you didn't have an auto that like cycled like 2 or 3 times. You could still be ranked relatively high. So
Which,
it makes
at
all
one
the
point we
difference.
were. So.
Yeah, at one point we were ranked 3rd in our division.
Third
Yeah.
division, yeah.
Yeah. Team structure. Yeah, team structure is really important throughout the season. It's one of those soft skills that this is more about, and our team structure was categorized with a programming team, a hardware team, a CAD team, and then an outreach team, and we found this worked decently well for our season. Do you guys want to add on anything?
Yeah, I remember it started off like as very structured, but as the season progressed, we all branched into what we found most interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like in a way that's good because we're all like doing things that we like.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like if everyone's like trying to do as many things as possible, the effectiveness goes down. So it's important to stay rigid with your structure while like doing the things that you like.
Yeah, there's definitely it's hard getting that balance, but you really need people who are putting in their best foot forward in everything that you do. Especially when it's hard to stay motivated, like because we're team motivated, right? We're not really like a part of a school, or we don't pay to be on this team as much as like other teams do. We're like teams in our area will pay a good amount. So finding a balance and making sure that you put your best foot forward in whatever you do is what's going to get your team to the next level. It's all the intangibles, you know what I mean? All the things you're like, oh, maybe if I skip this day, or I don't need to change this, it looks fine, or just that stuff, that giving yourself an excuse is what differentiates the people who win and the people who lose. Or not the win or lose per se, but the people who advance and the people who just place at like a state level or a league level, right?
Like that level of drive is what like really pushes you to like out of the general population of teams.
Yeah, and it's pretty cliche. Like they say this in all sports, if you play sports or anything, but you have to want it more than the other person, and that rings true in this too. Your team has to want it, want to win, want to succeed, and each person has to like take responsibility into doing what they're gonna do, right? So consistency over complexity. You know this one, right?
Yeah. So like we said before, one of the things we found this year was that having a more consistent auto, for example, was far better than having like a semi-consistent like 5-cycle auto, because like we saw teams that had autos that could cycle like a lot of pixels, but they'd work like half the time, 60%, maybe less, and we had like 1 cycle, 2 cycles at most, and we'd end up like placing higher every now and then sometimes.
I mean, and that's not to say you can't do that, because like at Worlds we saw like Road2D2 do it, right?
Yeah, Road2D2.
Road2D2 was
They had a 2+10 auto or something.
2+10 auto, Hyperion.
That's the stop line and everything.
Hyperion, Hawk, and some other teams. They all could cycle, and you can cycle well and consistently. But that's a level of like team commitment and like a level of iteration that's higher than the rest. So focusing on reliability before complexity is always really important.
Yeah.
Like each team is gonna have different levels of success they're aiming for each year, because you can only accomplish so much, right? So consistency over complexity with your auto routes and just
In
with
general.
anything you build. Yeah. And that kind of leads into in-depth knowledge of what works and what doesn't. The more seasons you do, just the more you'll amalgamate a knowledge of like what type of meta strategy or like meta attachment is gonna work to win. Because what we saw this at Worlds was like the claw design, but like a claw and a slide design was really popular and really strong. You know what I mean? Like a two system.
Not exactly a claw, but more of a, like a gripper.
No, yeah, like a
The-
gripper.
Gripper, like a,
Yeah, like
a
a
gripper
two-
deposition.
A two-stage
Yeah.
intake deposition separate was really nice because you'd have a fast intake, but you'd also have the kind of the what's the word?
Flexibility.
Flexibility to
Yeah.
deposit on the board.
We saw people orienting their deposition with servos and everything.
Yeah. And then lastly, outreach capstone projects. That's a big thing.
So
Yeah, go ahead.
mostly what I was doing at Worlds, I was going around many other like team booths and just seeing what they all did. And one thing I noticed was all of the very like well performing teams, they had like one big project that they would display on their banners. Like I remember I went to Java the Hutt's booth and they had this one whole banner just talking about their international outreach, which I believe that was their capstone project. They reached to many countries, especially Nigeria.
Yeah, and there's teams from like Morocco and Taiwan and
Thailand.
maybe a Japanese team, I think. But anyway, that's besides the point. Like, there's first is like an international competition, and so international outreach is not like hard, like super hard or unheard of, right?
Yeah.
So, and that doesn't have to be a capstone project, because other teams will create like a product. Like I know one team they created like limbs for amputees.
Clueless. Yeah.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
They created limbs.
Limbs? What was it?
They created
some,
like
some kind of
heat stimulated casts for
yeah,
Ukrainian
something like that.
soldiers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They made cats. Yeah. I think another team did a limb thing, but anyway, it's not besides the point.
Yeah.
So, capstone project for your team. It's basically each year or throughout the years a project which your team is really like invested in outside of the first tech challenge that they aim to make a difference or make an impact using STEM or in the STEM community. And usually you don't have to do like everything in 1 year. It can be built up upon your years, and that can have a big impact to your judging and just
in general.
Yeah.
Your performance.
Yeah.
Events.
So wait, new season, next season resolutions. Do you want to go first?
So one of the things that we plan to resolve for this season, in the past, our outreach in some specific areas has been a little bit lacking. Like for example, one of our I think weakest area of outreach would come down to two things. Firstly, being specific tech outreach, and the second one being like a focused capstone project, like we were mentioning before. So, tech outreach tends to be highly valued in FTC because you get lots of advice from professionals in the field. You get ways to organize teams, all sorts of useful advice.
Yeah, like
And
kind of like a mentorship aspect that at
exactly.
first they
Yeah.
ask us for
And
mentors a lot, right?
the judges at all competitions really like to see like teams actively looking for mentors and just trying to better themselves by following their advice.
Yeah, I think first is definitely like it's an engineering competition and community, and it's really centered around like learning and teaching. Learning from people who know more than you and teaching to people who know less or want to do more, or inspiring people to do more. It's about keeping that cycle going, right? As an FTC team, as a robotics team, it's like our duty to make sure that cycle continues. And so, outreach doesn't just stay inside the season, and that's perfectly fine if you can't meet outside the season and you can only do it in the season. But top teams they'll still continue an outreach outside the season because it's a perfect time when you're not working on your robot. You can still make a difference. You can still do something as a team. You can still build something, but maybe not necessarily for the competition itself. And it can still go on your portfolio or your engineering notebook, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that leads to like maximize the summer. Talk about that.
Yeah. So, one thing we weren't doing in the past years was really making use of our summertime to learn new skills, maybe catch other team members up on areas that they lack in. So this year we're planning to like grow our software, our hardware, and even outreach skills. I know we're doing a project on an extended intake in hardware. You guys want to talk about software outreach?
Yeah, software outreach, or software summer R&D. This goes kind of also into our team skill baseline as well. A great thing to do in the summer, especially for new members coming in or members who have been really focused in one area during the season and want to branch out, is having kind of like workshops for your own team to learn the baselines of all the stuff you do, like how to build an op mode for your robot, or how to build just a regular chassis with wheels and a control hub all stitched together. Stuff like that is really useful to increasing the floor level of your team's knowledge. And it's just really important to have, especially when you're going for higher and higher accolades.
It essentially allows the majority of the slack to not be picked up by like 3 or 4 highly skilled members in a specific area. It just gives the team more manpower.
Yeah,
overall.
Manpower, especially when like the people, the leads, or like the people who are working on something can't do something because something happens. It's good to have like a baseline understanding for everybody, so you can make faster.
It's like a constant source of progress.
Exactly, a constant source of progress.
So then lastly, one thing that we aim to do more this year is to look at using custom parts more, because we saw a lot of teams at Worlds using robots with like almost entirely custom parts, and our robot mostly consists of like parts we get from the GoBelta kit, the like Actobotics parts. While there's nothing wrong with that, custom parts just allow you to. It just gives you so much more flexibility with how you want to make your robot, and you're not limited by this hole isn't over here, so we have to like use this piece to help it get to fit.
So custom parts, we're definitely looking to do that. What was it? Send Cut Send is really good for making those like frames on your robot. If you want a special design or look for your team. We were told and we saw like a lot of teams they use Send Cut Send, so I'd recommend looking into that.
And more than just custom parts, is like just like entire sections of your robot that's custom, like custom chassis. Like if that's applicable for next year, we definitely want to look into using that. So that's just our short like journey and what we learned and what we're looking forward to next season doing in the summer. If you have any questions or there's anything you learned, be sure to comment it down below. Also, in combination to our podcast, which are going to be more soft skills and more overview, less technically focused, we are going to be launching a series soon about informational videos in FTC, from just how to build a chassis to how to use that chassis to autonomously navigate around the field and sense things using objects, object detection, and all that good stuff with OpenCV, TensorFlow, Roadrunner, all that good stuff.
All sorts of fundamental
stuff from the fundamentals up. That'll slowly be rolling out. If you have anything you want to learn specifically that you're really interested in, put it below. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Bye.